What is going on, YouTube? This is Mighty Fine back with another weekly analysis. Before we dive in, check the link below this video if you want to get in on my free public Discord. The weekly analysis drops there first, always, as well as some trade ideas and other educational resources that you might find helpful if you are an aspiring trader. Now, this is the free public version of my weekly analysis, so it's going to be lacking a few details that I provide to my private students and my private community. If you want more information about how to get in on that, join the Discord, check out the website. But with that being said, this is still an extremely valuable resource. Today we're going to look at the dollar. We're going to look at GBPUSD, AUDUSD, GBPJPY, and potentially EURUSD, depending on how long it runs. But what we're going to look at is the same thing that I've been doing on this channel for years now, which is high time frame analysis, looking at big high time frame trends, longer term trends and behaviors in the market, and then a couple of intraday or intra-week ideas that you might be able to use. 2 weeks ago, I dropped an analysis, and within 24 hours of market opening, it provided a 170 pip move on GBP/JPY. That's enough for the entire week. So what I'm trying to get at here is that I'm dropping simple and followable ideas that you can get down with and learn from. And that's the whole point of my community, right? I want people to learn and earn, and it's real proven price action analysis. I've been doing this for years. I've got 220 plus students that have learned and or used it with me, and I host daily live trading sessions to show people how to use what I do in real time with real results, wins or loses. So without further ado, let's dive right into the weekly analysis. First thing that we really want to do is just establish our sort of weekly and monthly chart parameters. We are kind of in the middle of the month, so we'll just stick with the weekly. What can we see right now? We have a break of flow here on the weekly. This supply has been taken out. It looks like our last really big push came from this area here, a little bit of a liquidity sweep or pullback, and then an extension above that previous supply there. Last week, sort of a weak bullish week. That's a lot of weak words. But with that being said, we'll see if price can exceed the highs from the previous week and extend that trend upwards. So that's going to be important when we get down to the daily chart. So this is currently our trend high right here. We'll label it as so. And then this was our sort of weekly demand, major daily demand there. And when I come down to the daily chart, again, I just want to do the same exact process, which is identify the major supply and demand on this time frame. For this one, not much of a zone here, right? The zones just represent areas where buyers or sellers are making decisions. I think for this one, our trend high and our daily supply are one and the same. We haven't really seen sellers step in from that area yet. So it's not really a established supply zone or level, but if we get a pullback from that region, that would sort of make sense in the intra-week order flow that we've got going on here. So price should stay above this level in order to maintain its current intra-week bullish flow. What I mean by that is the last major place that buyers stepped in was right here, and they made a decision. They threw money at the market. They said, okay, we want the dollar to further appreciate based on whatever fundamental and technical speculation combination that they had. So price should stay above this if it's going to stay bullish. Anything below this may indicate that the market's turning slightly bearish. Whether it's short-term or long-term is to be seen. And again, something that I discuss more with my group on a day-to-day basis, but we can use this as a potential trade idea generator. If price comes back towards this area and transitions within this region of demand, can we take advantage of a change in behavior on dollar-backed pairs following this multi-month trend of the dollar appreciating? Very potentially. So if price were to come back down into somewhere like this, transition, and then push higher and even higher, we could catch a potential intra-week or even intra-month kind of like scalp into swing trade. A fun idea. This right here is the basis of all of the trade ideas that we're going to have for the week. Number one, price could very well pull back against us in order to fulfill this order flow back into this sort of 104 200 region here. So it's very likely that we're either going to abstain from trading as the dollar pulls back, or we're going to take sort of a counter trend, counterintuitive trade leading into Monday or Tuesday, depending on what's on the economic calendar. Right? If we have sort of an event where it's going to be a catalyst for the week, I haven't checked. I don't know. I haven't checked the calendar yet. But if we're going to have an event that's going to be a catalyst for, further speculation, price may need to set up into that and make this pullback in order to extend higher. Very potential. Either way, we would anticipate that price is going to pull back in some fashion because the people with the most money want the best price. Ergo, price is going to come back to where they bought before, and they made a decision to inject more money. So the pullback into the beginning part of the week, then we're looking for a transitional phase, meaning some sideways movement, potentially a shift from selling to buying. And then we'll look to take the sort of established bullish flow as it comes in into the previous highs and or new highs into the 10500s. And that's that, right? So now I just want to kind of, within my daily zones, establish where my major intraday levels are. I would say that there's a significant amount of buying that took place about here, right? So this is a very interesting zone that you could go into lower time frames and refine and try and find the digital footprint of the people that threw the most money at the market. Now, this is probably because of a major event last week, hint, hint. You could figure out what that is. Price may or may not come all the way back to it. It may just kind of miss it shyly and then reaccumulate and go higher. We don't know, right? Our job is not to know the future. It's simply to have a plan and react to the present. So if we were to get a break from this transitional phase that we can see here, right? If we can get a break out of this sort of sideways consolidation that the week ended on, and we can get a crack below maybe this level where we can see the buyer stepped in and kept it in the range, then we might anticipate that we're going to get that pullback. So anything under this could be a zone to zone style trade here where you take an intraday short and then wait for price to potentially transition within this region or the red region in order to go up higher and retest the trend high, that daily supply level at 105. Okay, there's your whole idea for the week. So either break or bounce at the bottom of the consolidation range. If it goes below, zone to zone trade to the downside, look for the transitions here in the low 104s. Anything below this daily zone, this daily demand zone at 104.02 roughly, 03, that starts to change our view on the dollar as potentially bearish. I think that's very low probability, just based on dollar domination in the current fundamentals and macroeconomic landscape. But, always have that duality, always be mentally agile so you can take it both ways. So yeah, that's our plan for the dollar. And then we're going to bleed these ideas over into AUDUSD and GBPUSD, my two main trading pairs. It's also extremely applicable to things like NASDAQ or US 30, Dow Jones, or S&P 500 even. All these things kind of play a synergy together. Personally, I'm not trading NASDAQ right now just because it's been a little funky and volatile. So I'm sticking to my currency pairs, but it does work very well on those as well. So with that being said, let's move up to AUDUSD and just check the weekly chart. I've got this little level here that price has been interacting with. You can see that we're in kind of a multi-week transitional phase, sideways movement, some consolidation. Nothing really to mark out on this chart per se. If you wanted to do something like this, you could, to identify your weekly range here and here. And then move into the daily chart. And again, we can kind of see that we've just established this range, right? Price came down, buyer stepped in, a little bit of a pullback, but nothing really major. Price came back down, buyer stepped in again, and now it's just kind of gummed up here. So this is, in my opinion, just a free educational tidbit for you. Not necessarily a pair that I want to focus on right now because it's range bound. It's not super fun and it could go any which way. So, keep that in mind. You're sort of in a range from about here, right, roughly right there, to right here. I have a downside bias on this pair because I have an upside bias on the dollar. However, that would only really be the case if the dollar made new highs and we broke below these lows, where again, we're in this weekly demand zone here. That is a pretty key level. So not the cleanest technical situation here. If price were to break above that transitional range, like, oops, above this, then we would be seeing the dollar also break below the demand, and we could look for a more significant trade above it. Until then, you're sort of just playing the range, which again makes this pair less attractive to me intra-week as sort of a intraday scalper. But if you wanted to play the range, you could. I would definitely prefer selling from the top of the range versus buying from the bottom. So keep that in mind. This is really all that I need to mark up because we're just, again, in this big transitional phase here. Nothing super clean. We can see that price is sort of bouncing off of these choppy little supply and demand levels here. Not ideal. So for the week, we're just going to abstain from this pair. At least I am. We're going to go down to GBPUSD. Go back up to the weekly. So this is sort of your weekly major, your actually more like your monthly major demand that created this trend high. And we're pulling back against it, but this is an important little level here. First thing that I would do is just set a zone here because this was a significant area where buyers lived. With that being said, lots of momentum to the downside. So this does not take priority in our analysis. It's just something we want to be aware of. I'm going to make that gray so I don't confuse myself. And then we'll just slide this over here and make that known. Boom. And then as you can see, I still have some alerts from my trades last week. Good week finally for us last week in the live trading sessions. I hadn't really taken any trades until Tuesday or Wednesday of last week, and then I took a couple, and both worked out, which is nice. And got us moving for the month. Hopefully we get some more. Now, as you can see, order flow has been pushing bearish overall. As we look at sort of the details of that weekly bearish leg, we can see there's been a few big pullbacks and then injections of capital. Predominantly, the most recent one would be right here. This would be sort of your weak daily supply, but certainly a daily supply nonetheless. Boom. And then the whole trend leg really that you're trading against right now is probably marked as this. If you wanted to make something like that, just as a mental note, that can be very helpful as well. Your flow low, or the current order flow lowest point that this bearish leg has created, is another good thing to mark out. Something like that. And what we're looking for, again, based on that dollar analysis, is some sort of pullback relative to last week's bearish result. Some sort of transition, and then potentially a new leg to the downside to create a new low, retest these lows here at 1.238 into this lower region where we know buyers made a big splash previously. So this transitional phase here is really what you want to count on. If you wanted to take the buy against that, you could. It's just lower probability of success because overall sellers have been in control for a few months now, right? Here, I'll give you the exact 64 days really sellers have been in control. So, if you want to fight against the current go for it, but just be really cautious. Personally, I think the smartest move would be to wait for the Monday or Tuesday pullback, maybe even through Wednesday, and then finish off Thursday, Friday. It very well could happen like that. If we're lucky, we'll be graced with a 1-day rip back up to the upside. But with that being said, UK fundamentals are shitty right now, right? Everything from employment to their import and export ratios, every report that has come out, CPIs, jobless claims, all those types of things from the UK, they've been bad and getting worse. So there's not a really huge fundamental reason why we should get a quick pullback. If we're graced with it, awesome. If not, be patient, wait for that pullback, and then transition up here towards the 1.25 region potentially, and then an expansion into a new low. Now, it may not make it all the way there, so I like to just check it on a day-to-day basis with my live trading session group, and we go from there. But don't force the trade to the upside, prefer the trade to the downside based on that dollar analysis, and that's really what we're looking for as we head into this week. If we look at the details a little bit here, from our daily supply into our current lows here, it looks to me like there was a pretty big decision made right here, and that might be a targeted area for some sort of pullback. Certainly an interesting little region from 1.2478 to about 1.251 roughly. We would know that we're getting a pullback if price got above this region here. This is our 4-hour supply. So if price comes above that level, then we know we're getting that trend pullback. Price could just kind of kiss up on this and then continue lower as well. So key level here. Again, you could go into a smaller time frame and you could look for refinements of that region of supply in order to potentially target it for those intraday moves. Something that I do with my private group on a day-to-day basis, as well as that advanced weekly analysis that I drop. So that's really it for these two pairs. We have time. Let's go take a peek at Euro USD. Not a pair that I trade, but the analysis works nonetheless. And so you can see sort of a from scratch chart building here. So similar story, big bearish move against the bullish structure. If price gets below this level, it's going to be acutely interesting. Looks like it already snapped those lows there, so that could be a little bit of a sign. But if price gets below the current flow low and the weekly demand zone here, then we would certainly have a more bearish bias on that. Flow low there. Boom. And then it looks to me as though the current leg on the daily chart is going to be somewhere like this. As we go into that, sure is. There's our current leg. Valid pullback here. Previous supply broken, then a trend extension to the downside. So this is a daily structure point here. We can just say daily supply, and then we'll actually change that to lower high. So that shows us that we've defined our current flow and trend leg there. Boom. And then again, just making those trade parameters here. This is our daily region. Boom. Let's make that gray to not confuse ourselves. And we'll drop that color down a little bit. Okay, so we're in an interesting little area. It's a major level of demand, but it looks like sellers are taking it over. So really, again, what you're looking for here is some sort of pullback, that transition, and then an extension back into these flow lows where we'll either break or bounce, right? Could bounce here, could create a big range, could break lower. So definitely take some profits if you get in on the shorts from this region. Now, go down to your 4-hour chart. And again, interesting little spot here, very coincided with GBPUSD, right? Big decision, big money made here, shown by this excess supply liquidity that came in. You're looking for a intraday flow switch, which is very likely from this region here. If price gets above that, I would anticipate that you're getting that pullback now. And in order to validate that idea, I'm just going to go into the hour chart, and it looks like this is acting as supply. It previously was supply. Go to the 30-minute, go to the 15-minute, and this is just a falling knife supply from that huge move on Thursday from the news. But again, if price gets above this, I think we're going to see a pullback back into this region here. And yeah, that's really your trade idea for the week on AU, GU, and EU based on our dollar analysis. If you have any questions or anything, feel free to drop a comment below. Give this video a like so other people can see it that may not be aware that it exists. And if you want any more information, again, join that Discord in the link below. Check out my website. And until next week, trade smart, trade safe. Mighty Fine out.